without further ado, I want to bring on a young man who we all know and love dearly. He's going to give us a 10-minute presentation and share something that is really on his heart. And here we go, introducing from the cold city of Chicago, where there's snow 10 feet high right now, Big Rob, the Motivator. You got it,
Yes, sir. Big Rob, the Motivator with ya. Now, I'm going to try to squeeze in 21 years into 10 minutes. So if you have a pen and pad, whip it out right now. If you don't, just get on the recording afterwards. But I want you to write this down right now. Risk to action ratio. Then right under that, I want you to write MCPA. M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, P as in Peter, A. Risk to action ratio and MCPA. And I'll explain that in a minute. A little bit about my background. My background is in law enforcement, and it started 21 years ago. I was a correctional officer for the state penitentiary in Joliet, and I worked there for many years. And after that, I worked as a Cook County sheriff for the county jail in 26 in California, which is one of the largest jail systems in the entire country. And I worked there for many years. After working law enforcement, I decided to take a step back from it for a little bit and pursue heavyweight boxing. I moved to Puerto Rico in 2001, and 2001, and entered the heavyweight amateur division. And after I got that out of my system, after a few beatings, I decided to move back to Chicago. I moved back on September 3rd, 2001. And a week later or so, September 11th, we all know that New York was under attack. Well, the whole country was under attack. The planes hit the Twin Towers, and, you know, it was havoc for the entire country. Now, something happened during that time. When I came back, I had every intention to continue with my law enforcement career. And because we were terrorized in that manner, all law enforcement agencies shut down their hiring process. So for the next 6 years, I was in what I call the desert. I couldn't get into law enforcement. The applications weren't being accepted. So for 5.5 years, I had menial jobs, jobs that I considered to be, you know, because of my background, they weren't jobs that I really wanted, and I felt that I was overqualified for them. And it entailed everything from law enforcement to cleaning, anything. Security officers to cleaning to anything I could really get my hands on. I worked on it. I was a bouncer for quite some time. I was a personal bodyguard for exotic dancers. I mean, I did everything just to make ends meet. And in 2006, I landed a job as a doorman at Michigan and Delaware, which was a residential condominium complex for anybody you can name on the Forbes list. Mr. Bloom lived there. He was a billionaire. The owner of the Aon Center lived there. The family of CVS Pharmacy lived there. So for the next year, what I did was open doors for billionaires. I got their Bentleys out of the garage. I brought up all their packages from Bloomingdale's and Gucci, Prada. So that's what I did for an entire year. You want to talk about white glove service? That's what I did. And I began to talk to a billionaire about my business ideas. And in my heart of hearts, what I really wanted was for him to say, you know what, you a good guy, you sound smart, here's $100,000. You know, I never asked for it, but in my heart, I was like, man, I wish this guy would just hook me up, you know. But he never did, and I never asked. But what he did do was give me advice. He said, you know, you don't look like you belong here. You look like your passion is somewhere else. Before it's too late, you need to really get up on that because time is fleeting, as we all know. So I decided, more or less, out of a whim. I said, you know what, I do have this business idea, and I can't open these doors any longer. I can't go get these Bentleys any longer. I can't go into the penthouse looking around wishing that was me any longer. So I pretty much quit my job cold turkey. And that's where the risk to action ratio comes in. What is your risk? What are you risking, and how much action is it going to take to overcome that risk? Now, I risked everything because I left. So I risked my bank account. I risked my home life. I risked paying my bills, everything. And when I got home that night, I made a plan. And that's where the MCPA came in. The MCPA is massive, consistent, positive action. I knew that the current action that I was taking on, that I was going through, was not going to overtake that risk. I just walked away from my job, so I needed to go to the next level with my action. So for the next 7 months, I'm going to tell you what I did to go from being broke and making absolutely no money to creating a six-figure business. I rented the rooms in my apartment to college students. I slept under my desk for 7 months. I ate honey buns for dinner for 7 months. I stopped buying groceries, and I bought snacks that were 2 for $1. Whatever money I had trickle in, I saved it, I accumulated it, and I put that money into marketing for flyers, business cards. I would spend 8 to 9 hours a day going door to door, walking in the cold. I had to give up everything. I gave up my car because there was nothing but gas and car note. I gave up all those things, and I held down to the small change that I had, and I went door to door to get clients. For 7 months I did this, waking up early in the morning, getting home late at night. My first year in business, I made $3,000, and I thought maybe, just maybe, I made a big mistake. Did I do the right thing? But one thing that I did not change was the MCPA. I continued with the massive, consistent, positive action, even though I felt discouraged, even though I was tired, even though I was hungry, even though I was kind of doubting myself. I continued with the massive, consistent, positive action until I got 1 solid client, 3 solid clients, 10 solid clients. That second year, my business made $50,000. The third year, it went to $60,000. By the fourth year, I was already in 6 figures. I never stopped the massive, consistent, positive action because my risk to action ratio was off the charts. I already knew I didn't want to go back to the 9 to 5. I already knew that I couldn't get into the law enforcement because the time had slipped. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to pass many of the physical exams that they were going to have me do. With law enforcement, it's like sports. You got to be a young guy to pass some of those exams, the physical exams. So in 2007, I began my first business, LaBelle Promenade, and it grew from $3,000 to 6 figures because I continued on that massive, consistent, positive action. We talk a lot about the process and the 1%, and I'm saying this out of love to everyone on the call right now. I don't want you to use the process and the 1% as a safety net and say, well, you know what, this is part of the process. I'm going to write a page every week, a page a month. It's a process that I'm going through. It takes time. Stop using that process as a safety net. Some of you have to go ahead and take that risk and take that jump, take that plunge, and continue with the massive, consistent, positive action in order to change your current situation, because your current action is not enough. If it was enough, you would already be living in your passion. You would already be making a living with your dream. And that's not to say that you're not grinding, you're not hustling, you're not bringing the heat. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there is a different level. There is another level above the process that sometimes makes us lazy, that sometimes makes us think that we have all the time in the world because it's the process. We don't have all the time in the world. We really don't. We know a whole lot of people that are in our lives that have gotten into accidents. Now they're injured, so they slow down a whole lot. They passed away. Disease caught up to them. It could be anything. So in closing, I just want to say that this isn't for everybody. Not everybody can walk away from their business. I understand that. Not everyone can take that leap tomorrow. I understand that. But this is for the person that feels that they're right there on the edge. You could feel it. You could feel that you're about to make a breakthrough. But you need to remove that safety net. You need to remove that safety net right now, because what you have is strong enough to carry you through. Your action will be big enough and strong enough to carry you through that risk.